and I have opened in my system. So guys, now I have created a Spring Boot application, and as you can see here, I have extracted the application and I have opened in my IntelliJ. In case if you don't know how to create my Spring Boot application, I have given the link in the description. You can able to find how to create a Spring Boot application. Okay, so now what are we going to do is, generally in our Spring Boot application we can able to connect our database through JPA. In some scenarios we may need to use jdbc template, because this jdbc template is specifically for to execute a complex queries, because sometimes if we cannot able to use the JPA for executing a complex queries. Okay, so in that scenario we have to use this jdbc template. As you can see here, the basic properties that we need to do it in our Spring Boot applications, the database configuration. So as you can see here, you can see the database configuration. This is common for both JPA and then JDBC as well. Okay, so there is no difference in terms of database configuration for our JDBC. So once you have done this one, go to that user service or wherever you want to write your business logic. So now I have created a file called user service, and I have just imported the JDBC template and auto-wire this in the service. And one more thing, this named JDBC template is imported from the Spring Boot application. It is not from the Java library. So once you have done this one, I have made two different queries here. One is for selecting the data, one is for inserting. So whatever the procedure that I am using for insert, that will be applicable for both update as well as delete actually here. Okay, so but when it comes to selecting the data, so the main usage of this JDBC query is we can have the named parameter. Okay, we will come later, but first we will see about how to select the data. So whatever the normal query that we are using in our SQL developer or whatever the tool that you are using, here also I am just giving a normal query, select name email from the user table. This is not a JPA table or entity table. This is the direct table name that is coming from the database itself. Okay, so this is SQL, just I am keeping in a string here. Next I am having a named JDBC template with the query method. This is coming from the library itself, and here I need to provide the two parameters. One is the SQL, the first one is the SQL. Next one is the row mapper. Row mapper is nothing but it is the data that which we are getting from the database is mapped with the entity here. Okay, this is what the meaning here. So again, whatever the data that I am getting from the database, by using the row mapper we can able to assign the value to the user model. Okay, so at the last we are returning the user model, which means it creates a list of the user model. And one more thing, the class that I am mentioning here, right, it can be anything, whatever that user model that you want to use, you can keep it here. And here also I am just keeping the user model along with for some data here, which means I am assigning the data from the database. And once it's done, I have created a user list, and from that user list, once it is everything is read from the database, I am returning the list here, and from here it goes to the controller. So you know from here what will happen. So here I am having just a simple get mapping, which gets the data from the database, and it will done all these things. Okay, and here one change here. Okay, fine. So next scenario, what I am going to show is it's all nothing but the user create, which means now we are going to create the user. Okay, so by calling the API, as you can see here, I didn't receive any request actually, because I am just directly mentioned the parameters. But in the real-time application, as we all know, we need to pass the parameters as a request body here. Okay, fine. Now as you can see here, I am going to the create user. In the create user, I am just creating a normal direct query. Okay, so here I didn't use any JPA method or anything, but the advantage of this query is here I am having some named parameter. So named parameter is we can dynamically set the value here. So which means generally if you want to have a dynamic data in this space, we have to concatenate the string, right? Instead of creating some concatenating and all these things, we can create some proper parameters, select this, which is called a map SQL parameter source. You can just set the value for key and value. Key is nothing but that parameter that you are keeping in the query by using the colon, and then you need to mention that variable name. So now how this value, whatever we are keeping here, will replaced in the query means that is already available in the named parameter, named JDBC template. This is the reason we are using a named JDBC template. Named JDBC template, wherever you are keeping a name with a colon, that will get appended by these values while executing the query. Okay, so here I am having a SQL which is having this value, and you can clearly see that for the name, email, password, ID, I am providing the value here. So whatever the value that you are providing, it will get appended in this place by using this one. So here I am having a name, right? So whatever the name that I am having here, this name will get appended in this place. It will be replaced by this value. Like this, I am having a 4 values with the colon, and that same similar values I am just keeping here as well. So whenever that query is getting executed, the value will be replaced by this one. So here we are having IN, which is called a map SQL source. So this is the comment between this query and then replacing the values. So once it is getting replaced, the query will get executed, and if you can see able to see this MySQL workbench, you can clearly see that value. Once again, let me refresh it. Where I am keeping this one. Once again. Okay, I think I didn't execute this one. test@gmail.com, test_pwd. Okay, so now okay, I need to open the Postman because that API which I have developed is in the post mapping. But the problem is, so post here I need to mention the create user, right? I don't know what is the endpoint. Once again, okay, so this is the API that I need to use in order to create the users. So go to this place, create user, and post. Let me set the request. Okay, yeah, I'm getting this 200. Okay, now go to this database and let's see whether it is created or not. Yeah, can you see this one? That 2. So this is the user that I have created, test@gmail.com. I think it's a spelling mistake, and then test_pwd. So this is the user that I have created. Let me check whether I have, yeah, here I have done the spelling mistake. So the same thing, I have done this thing. Okay, so this is how we can able to create the data, as you can see here, by using the jdbc template. The main usage of jdbc template is that we can have that named jdbc template. Actually, don't get confused, there is a different jdbc template is also available. For example, we can use this one also, jdbc template. It is also available. Okay, so this is also you can use, but when you are using a named jdbc parameter, that will be easy for you to set the value if you are going to use some dynamic parameters. Okay, so there is a reason I am just using this named jdbc parameter in our application. Okay, fine. So in case if you have doubts, you can just post in the comments. Okay, thank you. Bye bye.